Welcome to the Strenuous Life Radio, the podcast that deals with entrepreneurs, men and women, learn the essentials and soft skills of the strenuous life. And now, here is your host, JR. Hello, everybody. Ain't this a good time to step in and talk about part 2 of the complicated relationship between John and Jacqueline Kennedy. Now, on September the 12th of 1953, at St. Mary's Church in Newport, Rhode Island, John and Jacqueline Kennedy were married. And by Boston Archbishop Cardinal Cushing. It was, I'm sure, quite a beautiful ceremony. I think the bride was dismayed, though, by the scratches on the groom's face. And it was a result of a touch football game between him and his brothers earlier that day. Now, their relationship, post-wedding, was kind of complicated. When it came to political seasons, he was often gone every weekend. He'd have politicians came in that smoked, filled up the ashtrays, burned the upholsteries in their house. They moved from place to place. Their first 4 years of marriage, it was almost like Albert Ang suitcase, that's so hard. Lived in a little townhouse apartment on Dent Street in Georgetown. Kennedy homes in Palm Beach, high-end sport, wherever they could be. There were some complications, of course. John F. Kennedy started having back problems during the campaign season of 1952, and he was having it somewhat, during the wedding. No one could tell that his back was hurting. And so in October 1954, he went through back surgery. The first of two. He almost dies. Jackie is faithful at his side. And then in February of 1955, he goes in for a second one after spending, a couple of months Christmas in Palm Beach. And then he gets out and spends a couple more months in Palm Beach. It's a painful time for them, but they remain close. Once, though, he got over that back surgery, rumors and tales of his womanizing, they had to have an effect on him. And I think they had a miscarriage or two. Well, the miscarriage in 54, 55, and maybe both times, and a stillbirth in 56. Dad had to do something to affect their marriage. In fact, the stillbirth in 56 almost led to their marriage ending in divorce. Because after the convention, what does Jack do? He goes gallivanting around the world by boat with Florida Senator George Smathers and a gaggle of girls. And finally, Senator Smathers was like, "Look, I made a mistake. You need to haul your tail over to your wife if you ever want to be president." And so Joe Kennedy smoothed it out. Gave her, I think, $1 million to stay. And they worked it out. In March of 57, Jackie learns that she's pregnant again. And Jack's like, "Hell, we can't keep living like this." So I've seen the picture of the Kennedy house on N Street, and it was a lush, nice looking house. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Now, in 58, Jackie hit the campaign trail with him when he was running for the Senate, and he won by a landslide. Just like he did, I think, in 52. Maybe even larger landslide in 58. And then in 60, he decides, well, I'm going to run for president. And he's got Jackie and his father behind him and everything. And he runs for the presidency. March of 60, Jackie finds out she's pregnant again. So she spends a lot of time between Washington, D.C. and Hyannisport. You know, while he's out campaigning first for the nomination and then for the election. I think she only hit the campaign trail with him once in October, and that was it. And then they had Thanksgiving together in Washington, D.C., and he was flying to go somewhere, and he got the news that Jackie went into labor, and they did, like with Caroline, they did a C-section, and John Jr. was born. And then a little over about a little less than 2 months, they're in the White House. And, of course, the historians say that their relationship was estranged at that point. Because, well, what do you think? There's stories that Jack had sexcapades in the White House. Some noted also in the swimming pool, no doubt. Well, what do you expect? You know, his daddy was a womanizer. There are times I don't think Jackie liked it, but, well, she tolerated it because she loved him, she loved the kids. Now, there's speculation as to whether he could have won a second term, because the press could have easily exposed him for womanizing in 64. I don't see it wasn't that big of a deal, really. It wasn't until like maybe the 90s things got that dang sensational. I think people measure history from today's yardstick, and I think that ain't a good idea. It's best look at the history. You see, Jimmy discovered me looking into his past and also looking into history. But the relationship with Jack and Jackie was quite complicated. But they grew close after they miscarried their child. After he was stillborn. He died after he was born. Now with that, I hope you enjoy listening to Strenuous Life Radio. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Become a part of the Strenuous Life family. This is J.R. Hendricks saying, until next time, don't just sit there and take it. Build your dreams so you can take it. And like my daddy always said, think strong, live strong, and live the strenuous life. God bless you.